is your no bullshit guide to a happier life. Quick, but not necessarily easy tips to help you to squeeze every last drop of enjoyment out of your business and your life. My name is Helen Calvert. I'm a coach, a business owner and a parent, and I'm so happy to be here with you. I do swear occasionally, as the title suggests, so pop in your headphones if I'm not safe for little ears. Ready to go? Let's do this. Are you tired of feeling overwhelmed, disconnected, and stuck in life's endless hamster wheel? Imagine a space where you receive expert guidance exactly when you need it, belong to a supportive community that respects your comfort zone, engage actively or quietly observe, discover simple, actionable strategies to create meaningful change, and have a blueprint for reclaiming happiness on your terms. The Happier Life Hub helps you banish the bullshit and live your happiest life. Join us today for just £20 per month by visiting happier-life.co.uk/hub. My hope is that this becomes your default place to turn when you're struggling or just need fresh ideas, like having me in your pocket whenever you need a boost. The world isn't built with your well-being in mind. Daily, we're bombarded with messages designed to keep us small, exhausted, and disconnected from our true selves. The Happier Life Hub is your gentle revolution against mediocrity, a warm, supportive resource centre to help you understand who you truly are and how you naturally thrive, create a life that genuinely supports your well-being, break free from societal expectations that drain your energy, and find fulfillment individually and collectively foster harmonious living. Do you wish for a single place where wisdom is easy to find and access, expert guidance without the commitment or expense of one-to-one coaching, and a space that boosts your confidence, enhances your emotional safety, and fosters belonging? I've got you covered. The Happier Life Hub is open and ready to welcome you. Join us today for just £20 per month by visiting happier-life.co.uk/hub or visit the show notes for this episode. Hello and welcome to this episode where we are going to be talking about saying yes to what we want. We've talked about recognizing our power and using our power, and we've talked about how the world is trying to drain us of our capacity and how we're pretty friggin' mad about that and how we've had enough of it. We're going to start talking about how to say yes to the things we want. And of course, that means we're going to start saying no. We're going to create some boundaries and hold them, and we're going to sit with the discomfort of that. Oh yes, it's the hard stuff, but it's the stuff that we know is really the only way forward if we want to have capacity for the life that we want and to use the power that we have. So I'm going to quote the wonderful Helen Mirren, who said, this one's all over the internet, you'll have seen this before. She said, at 70 years old, if I could give my younger self one piece of advice, it would be to use the words fuck off much more frequently. And what a damn fine quote that is. And she's saying this from the perspective of being at an age where she has lived a lot of life. So we can think, hell yeah, and be inspired. But that means that Helen Mirren had 70 years of saying yes when she wanted to say no. 70 years of her capacity being taken away and being threatened by saying yes when she wanted to say fuck off. So let's examine what stops us from doing this. I don't necessarily mean what stops us from swearing at people, because that isn't always appropriate, but what stops us from saying no when that's what we want to say. So there's kind of three main things, I think. There'll be quite a few, but these are the three that I see a lot, and we all experience these. The first is that we want to belong, and that is a deep human need. And those of us who've been through any kind of childhood trauma, my goodness, it's heightened to the nth degree. We desperately want to belong, and that means being liked and being nice and pleasing people. Now, that's a separate discussion, the fact that being a people pleaser actually pleases no one, least of all ourselves. But we see where this comes from, right? That desperate desire to belong and not rock the boat and not upset people and not be seen as unpleasant. We want to be nice. We want to be good. We also, the other reason we don't say no when we really want to is because we don't want any hassle, because we're exhausted. And it becomes self-perpetuating, doesn't it? I had this discussion with a client years ago where we realized that the more exhausted and overwhelmed she is, the more likely she is to say yes to things, which is counterintuitive. You'd think, okay, I'm exhausted, I'm overwhelmed, I'm going to start saying no. But saying no is difficult because you have to hold a boundary, or you might feel like you have to explain yourself. And you know people are going to come back at you and create aggro and hassle, and then you're going to have to deal with that. So in the moment, it's easier to say yes, even though that means that long term, even more overwhelm, even more exhaustion, and round we go. Because in that moment, we only have the energy to go, yeah, sure. Yeah, of course. Add something else to my list. Why not? And the other reason that we don't say no when we want to, and we overstretch ourselves, is because we want our prize. What am I talking about here? Where are you going with this? What do I mean by our prize? Well, a lot of us unconsciously, and probably because of the remnants of religious culture, believe that there's a prize at the end of all of this. Now, don't worry, I'm not going anywhere near a discussion about religion, but I do not happen to believe there is a prize. Certainly not a prize for doing everything everybody else wants and sacrificing our well-being for that. I don't believe we get a prize at the end of this life for doing that. The prizes and rewards are the things we create for ourselves, and we can create those for ourselves at any time, not just at the end. We can reward ourselves anytime. We can create a prize for ourselves if we want a prize. But this idea that there is some kind of prize at the end if we just keep sacrificing our well-being and keep doing everything everybody else wants us to do, it's so corrosive. If you've ever met someone who is full of resentment, especially later in life, it is because they gave away more than they had the capacity for all the time, constantly, over a lifetime. And they realize too late that there are no prizes for that. You'll see this in people, this huge resentment. Where's my prize? There is no prize. And I'm so sorry that you ever were led to believe that there was. But there are these words, aren't there, that stop us from saying no, that stop us from nurturing our own capacity. What are these words? Selfish, lazy, mean and unkind. What else comes up? What are the other words that come up? Those words that we've heard or we say to ourselves or that we imagine are going to be said to us. They're so deep in our psyche, aren't they? These awful words. Who benefits? Who benefits from this story that it's morally good and praiseworthy to give away more than we have the capacity for? Who gains power and wealth from keeping us exhausted and feeling guilty? You know the answers to that, right? We all know the answers to that. We can all see when we're looking clearly who benefits. We talked last time about the things that we buy in that situation. You can sell people anything if they're exhausted and feeling guilty. Oh my goodness, the stuff you can flog to them. But on a smaller level, who benefits in your own life? Are there people who benefit in some way from you feeling small and tired? Right? Who's benefiting from this? Because it's not us, is it? We're not benefiting from this story. So who is benefiting? What would you like to say no to if there were no stories attached to it? If there was none of this, but it makes me selfish and bad and awful and blah. If there were no stories attached to it, no shame, no blame, no guilt, what would you like to say no to? If you've been listening to this podcast for more than 5 minutes, you're going to know that I'm so often irritated by the amount of capacity that schools expect parents, and usually one parent in particular, to give to them. When I was a kid, my mum came to sports day and the nativity play, and that was it. That was it. There were no school emails because emails didn't exist. And I certainly don't remember taking letters home every day. There weren't 15,000 different days you had to do things for and opportunities for parents to get involved, which for working parents often means opportunities to disappoint their kids because they can't be there. The capacity schools demand of us is huge. Yet because of the good parent story, we find it hard to say no. I call bullshit on that. The absolute best thing you can do as a parent is protect your capacity so that when your kids need you, you can be there for them with all of your ability. And I don't mean need you to create the most wondrous World Book Day costume. I mean really need you to hear them and to hold them. We're not going to have the capacity to do that to the best of our abilities if we're baking cakes and running fundraisers and trying to keep up with 12 different apps. Everything you say no to enables you to say yes to something else. And this is absolutely crucial because we get so hung up on the no. But what's really important is the yes. If I'm not doing all this other crap, then when my kid comes to me and needs me, and it's always at like 9 o'clock at night when you're knackered, isn't it? And they're like, can I talk to you about? And you're thinking, oh God, I have the capacity to hold that space for them, which is the most important thing, more important than any fancy dress costume ever. But I wouldn't have that capacity if I was giving it away to other absolute nonsense. And obviously, this applies to way more than just parenting, right? It applies to all of us. It applies to all of life. Once we accept that we only have so much capacity, we can start to see clearly. None of us has unlimited energy. Okay, none of us. Doesn't matter what, abilities you have or whatever. None of us has unlimited energy. So if your energy was set out in front of you like a great big pie, I'm making myself hungry now, a great big pie of energy, how would you divide it up? You know what I'm saying, right? If you could see it, how would you divide it up? What do you really, truly want to be able to use your energy for? Not what you think you should use it for. We're getting rid of the shoulds, none of that. What do you really want to use it for? So I'll give you an example from my life because it's very simple for me. I want to use my energy to support my partner and my kids to the best of my ability, to look after my dog because I love my Esme, and to build and maintain my business so that I'm financially safe. That is where my energy goes. And I maintain that energy through self-care and saying no to pretty much everything else. Right? Did I used to have the capacity for socializing and campaigning and gardening and reading and God knows what else? Yes, I did. Will I ever have that again? Yeah, I expect so, actually. But right now, I am a 45-year-old, so midlife, we know what that midlife is like. 45-year-old autistic woman navigating her newly recognized CPTSD in a world that is on fire, and I recognize the capacity that I have. I'm honest about it. I'm clear about it. So do I feel guilty about not getting involved with the local community groups or keeping up with old school friends or remembering everyone's birthdays or maintaining a weight that my GP would approve of? No. Because if I said yes to those things, I would lose the capacity to support my partner and my kids to the best of my ability, look after my dog, and maintain my financial security. It's literally that simple. I only have so much capacity. My capacity has dipped recently, and I've chosen where it needs to go. And if I'm not using it up on the things I want to use it for, I'm maintaining it, one or the other. And as I say, maintaining it, through self-care. We have to maintain and nurture our energy. So thinking about that and remembering that that is just my life, that was not a blueprint for your life. Your choices are your choices. But what are you going to start saying no to? Doesn't have to be the things I say no to. It won't be, because everyone's life is completely different and everyone has different goals. And we've talked about focus, where we want to put our focus. But what are you going to start saying no to? And how are you going to remind yourself that it is okay to hold that boundary? I have no doubt boundaries are going to come up time and again this year, but if you go back a couple of seasons, I have an episode specifically on boundaries. If you're already thinking, I don't really know what they are, and I certainly don't know how to hold them, I do have an episode on that. Take a look back. Do you know who's going to give you the most grief for holding those boundaries? Right? You're going to get the most grief for holding those boundaries from people who are using up their capacity on shit they don't want to do and who don't know how to stop doing that. That's who's going to give you the most. So when you get grief for holding a boundary, that's where it's coming from. And that's not your responsibility. Their inability to make these choices or even see clearly, that's not your responsibility. I mean, send them to this podcast, send them my way. But don't be sucked into their way of life, because it's not serving them and it damn well won't serve you. So what are you going to start saying no to so that you can say yes to what actually matters to you? And what nonsense stories are you going to put down about what you should be doing? Who is profiting from those shoulds, right? Those shoulds are literally putting money in people's pockets, but also who is benefiting, not necessarily financially, but who's benefiting from all those shoulds? Because it's not you, is it? You're not benefiting from that nonsense. So what stories are you going to be putting down about what you should be doing? And remember, there is no prize at the end. I mean, God, I'll be delighted if I'm proved wrong, but pretty sure no prize at the end. We create our own prizes and rewards, and we can do that at any time. So how powerful would you feel if you said no to the bullshit and rewarded yourself right now for being absolutely bloody awesome? How powerful would that be? So go do that. And be excessively kind to yourself, because you deserve that every single day. Be kind to yourself so you can nurture your energy and capacity, so you can keep saying yes to the things that matter. And we know that that's going to mean saying no to the things that don't. And that way, we are going to damn well squeeze every last drop of enjoyment out of life. Speak to you next time. Thank you so much for listening. It's great to have you along for the ride. Are you already a member of my Happier Life Hub? If not, it's time for you to join. For just £20 per month, you get access to a huge library of resources to help you to banish the BS and live your happiest life. Plus a supportive community, online meetups, and access to me via the DMs. It's like having me in your pocket 24/7. Head to happier-life.co.uk/hub for more details.